back to back all day.
Well, that was one of my questions, if you were going to show up today. So you
Yep,
answered
I'm
the
here.
question you in person almost. Yeah. The other question is, have you reserved your hotel? Because she wanted me to go through the list and remind everybody that you need to do that immediately, even if you even if you end up not going.
No, I haven't, but I'll definitely do it this week.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I had for you on that one.
Oh, okay.
Except hoping you were going to be on this one.
Good to see everybody. Otherwise,
well, Alma Jean, thanks for letting me sit in, find out what's going on.
Well, you know, you're always welcome. And I'm glad you could be here because I know that you're so busy. And just appreciate you being here. And maybe you can help us stay on track. There's so much to keep up with, and it keeps changing. It's so good to see you here, and thank you for being here. What I plan to do is just give a couple more minutes. In other words, another 5 minutes at the most for a few more people I'm expecting to be here that I don't see yet. And then we'll move into the agenda. Okay? So this is chat time. Anything you want to say that has nothing to do with the agenda or what else?
I was wondering.
One thing I would mention is your audio is so much better than it's been for quite a long time.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
Well, I don't know about you, but she's still skipping. No, it could be me.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah,
skipping.
there's a little bit, but she always had feedback before.
Yeah, but she has that.
I don't hear the feedback today.
Yeah.
That's good. It varies up here in Skyview. The Infinity organization have you feeling and looking really good, and the next day it changes. They call themselves coming in to improve things. They improve it, and then it goes back down again, and then it gets better again. So it's up and down, up and down. I continue to work with them because there are a lot of new things happening and changes. So I'm glad to get that feedback that it is better. And you can hear me? I'm loud enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Right now you're doing good.
All right. Okay. Let's look at 7. Okay.
I'm also glad we're doing I'm able to do this on Zoom, so I don't get to share my cold with anybody.
We appreciate that.
I'll take care of that.
I do like Zoom. It is convenient. I can do other things around the house and listen and participate. I think it's a good thing, and it's only going to get better. Okay. To keep things on track, I'm going to initiate the beginning of our meeting. As you know, that's something that we're supposed to do. The speaker, which is Representative Chapalo Street, he will be joining this meeting midpoint around 2 o'clock. Due to other work-related issues on his calendar, he asked for another time slot. So we were pleased to be able to offer him at 2 o'clock. So whatever we're doing at 2 o'clock, we'll break and give him the time, and then we'll put him through the process of responding to some of our needs. I'm going to just run through the agenda so that you know what I'm planning to do. And I don't want to work it right now. I just want to go through it so you know what to expect, and you can tell me what we are going to do. Okay? So right now I'm talking about welcoming you here, which I've already started to do. And then we'll move right into the review of the agenda, which is where we are now, followed by a review of our notes from our previous, from our previous meeting. We had some notes, and I'm asking Jacob to help me go through those and clarify some things just for us, an understanding of where we are. Legislative candidate interviews Emmett Mills will not be able to be with us today, unfortunately, but we do have some information to bring up to date. Lori's in the office, and if we really need her, Jacob can let us know. Otherwise, he's the staff for this meeting. Thank you, Jacob. And best practices, the intent of District 9 is to bring chapters together, our 5 chapters in District 9, to share issues that we are thinking about, trying to deal with, trying to cope with, to learn from each other if we're not pleased with the way things are happening in our chapters, that maybe we might find the answers through others that are confronted with the same needs. So that, to me, that's a major purpose of the District 9. We do settle in on our priorities, what we're going to talk about, such as legislative things or healthcare or whatever. But it mainly it's an informal group that comes together to chat. Then other business, I do have a few other items that have come to me since the release of this agenda, such as post-blind mailing follow-up. We want to hear a little bit about that, and Jacob said he'd be glad to handle that. Strategic Plan Task Force, we'll be hearing from Bill on what he wants to hear about that. And District 1 meeting, there's an announcement on that, and I'll let him handle that since that came from him. So are there any other items that you'd like to put on this agenda? Hearing none. We have a screen share of the agenda.
I can update you on a couple of things.
All right. Let's get here with it. So what I'm looking at when I'm talking about update is the one that is actually a copy of District 9 meeting agenda for April 4 that I sent you. And there are comments under each section of that, what was expected, what we hope to accomplish. And I'm asking Jacob to help us through that. We use a new system called A1, AI, to help verbalize what we're trying to do. So can we screen share that, Jacob?
Yeah, are you referring to the summary of what was discussed at the previous meeting?
Can you enlarge the size of the print?
Absolutely. How about I go like, how about I do?
Some days I'm 40 there, that's better. Okay, so as we work our way through this, which is what I want to do with you.
Sec, sorry, I don't know why I did that. Oh, that's why I put it over here. Okay, anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Okay. So looking at that.
Still not up.
Does anyone have any questions about the team discussed their ongoing efforts?
I'm not, what happened?
Hearing nothing. The next step.
Yeah, it disappeared. It was on and then it disappeared. There it is. It's back.
Okay.
Too many files open on my computer. My apologies.
Okay. Going back to section A, the meeting summary. The team discussed their ongoing efforts to improve Social Security, Medicare funding, and healthcare for all, while also emphasizing the importance of building relationships with legislators, staying informed and about potential changes at the federal level. There has been quite a bit of activity on that. Jacob, do you care to comment on that?
I had a question, just to review, Jacob, what is the Mark E. Connor healthcare bill? What is it about?
Can you speak a little louder?
I'm honestly, I'm not very well apprised of legislative things.
Right.
I know Lori is.
That's okay, we can figure it out.
Yeah, so she would have liked to be here today, but she's not feeling well, and then she's got another meeting that she can't miss here in a little bit as well. So, and Emmett you know, with his
I'll just-
upcoming transition is pretty swamped. So I'm sorry, I can't speak to that.
That's okay.
There is considerable information on the website under those areas that have to do with what we are working, how we are working with Social Security, trying to make sure that we support or don't support rather legislation that would take away any of those benefits. And there's quite a bit on your website about that.
Okay.
So
And
I will.
we can also go to
Bill?
the Washington, you can go to the Ledge website.
Louder?
Okay. Yep, next.
Okay. Okay. Derek's not with us yet. As far as under B, the coordination with Lori to ensure communications, I am impressed that she did email me this morning to let me know that she's in the office and available if you really need her, in addition to what it is that Jacob provides. We want to keep close communications going between District 9 and what we're doing along with the council staff. The council staff is providing more assistance to our efforts as district reps and they have in all the years that I've been associated with RPEC, and that's a good thing. The strategic plan has essentially helped that a lot because it does delineate how it is that district reps may respond to issues affecting our seniors and how we can relate to the council and trying to arrive at work that we have to do with our legislators. So that is a good thing. When we started off as a District 9, we didn't have that kind of support. So that is definitely an area of improvement. It says here that Derek will solicit volunteers for the District 9 website. As you know, it's up and running. It's pretty good. I've been all over it. What do you think? Comments? Anybody?
I haven't looked at it.
No, I haven't either.
Is
You haven't played with it yet?
do districts have their own sections now on the website?
So the way that it's set up is, well, first of all, to access all the content, you have to create a member account on the website itself. And so that's to, you know, really elevate the value of membership and the right to content that you have by being a member. On top of that, there is a forum section that we're going to be, you know, kind of feeding prompts into, and it's an opportunity for districts, chapters, or, you know, cross-district discussions about specific topics, things like that. So district leaders do have an opportunity to start a conversation through the website specifically for their district if they so choose. As far as there being like dedicated, you know, material or information necessarily, like a page for each district, that's not how it's set up at this time, but it is, the forums kind of facilitate that. You know, they could kind of piggyback off of these discussions here that we have, where in the interim between meetings, there's an opportunity to spark further discussion via the forums on the website.
Okay.
Okay. That's very good. I
just-
appreciate
My hands
the way it's
are
laid out.
together, right, for
Do
that,
you-
because that's,
Bill?
yeah,
I can't hear you.
my hands are together because that's a start for recognition that districts may have value. It's been a long journey to get to that point, but thank you for being here on the show and for facilitating that recognition.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah, the value of districts, especially now, is greater than ever. You know, especially as certain chapters struggle to stay standing. I think, you know, more people are recognizing the importance of, you know, district community, district support. Yeah, empowering districts as a whole.
You know, just one example, in Spokane, there are no more chapters really. It's basically a district. If you look at Olympia, there are no chapters except one, and that's essentially a district. Okay, so, and now we're going to hear about District 1's activities, and you've done a preliminary meeting in District 6. So down the road here, it may turn out that that is going to be an alternative way to organize. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, section 3 there, to ensure that District 9 is prepared for the upcoming conventions, including registration and leadership calls. I have been working with the chapter meetings that I've gone through to make sure that there is a process for getting their members registered and it's coordinated, and to emphasize the due dates of things, the hotel registration, the deadlines, to assist chapters. And so I will be checking in again with the council office to make sure all 5 chapters are accounted for. That is what Claude and I see as our responsibility. The main thing is representation, trying to encourage our members to attend the convention. Okay.
Is Claude?
Claude is busy to scheduling statewide meetings with legislators to discuss the need for a permanent COLA. That is the real call to action item of the time. And call this morning that I received from Lori is emphasized. We need for district reps to do everything in their power to push for the legislature to approve a permanent COLA. And whatever creative ways you can do that, the call for you to do that is present. We want to use our newsletters to pronounce that. We want to bring in political speakers to speak to that. We want personal testimonies from members to emphasize that to our legislators the need for this permanent COLA. It is critical that we really move forward and hard. It's going to be a challenging summer with the reduction there in that staff office of that one person that did such a good job for us. Emmett is on to new things, not away from us as such. He's there to be helpful, I'm sure, but in a new area of work for him. So Lori is assuming a lot of what he had been doing. And so we will need to help her step up to the plate and assist her when she calls upon us or members of our chapters to get things done. Do you have any questions about that?
I just heard it.
Here's Claude. Hello, Claude.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
hey, everybody. How you doing there?
I'm at
We just want
Obviously.
Kaiser.
Yeah. How's it
Okay.
going?
Let's see, Claude, we're looking at the notes from the last meeting, which is being shown on the screen now. And we're into area 5, where you are organizing to get a statewide meeting with Adam Smith in August.
Right.
Can you speak to that?
Yeah. Hold up one second there. Can I get back to you on that in a few minutes? Because I'm in this area with Leanne right now. So as soon as we get out of this area, I can address that issue.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I go back one to the little 4 there? That should be Steve. There's a mistake. It says Steve Birch from the 11th. It's actually Steve Berquist, Quirst.
Bill, I can't hear you.
In the meeting minutes.
Yeah, Steve Berquist from the 11th. Yeah.
Amajin, he was saying that on item 4 there, it refers to a legislator as Steve Birch, but it's actually Steve Bergquist. So I'll make note of that in the minutes and I'll get that updated.
Okay. He has not committed as such. But we've extended the invitation to him, try to communicate. I did notice when I went on the website for the Washington State Legislature that during the time that they are away, that basically it's shut down. It's very hard to get anything done through that form of communications. Also, they are restricted from doing a lot of things as state that has to do with legislation. So we, you know, the work that we get out of Claude, that's very helpful for us to be able to get in there when we need to get confirmation on things, to get some idea. However, those legislators still have to work with their and they have to get back. Like this morning, we learned that our speaker will not be with us at 2 o'clock, and we hope to have him at 1 o'clock. A problem, but they do have to, that they don't have the last word. All right. Let's see. Chapter 3, progress and legislative updates. Okay. Anything on that?
I can do all that as soon as I get out of this area that I'm in.
All right, Clive, that's not what I'm
Yeah.
asking. I'm asking Jacob, it looks like this chapter here, these are accomplishments here. We've
Right.
passed. Okay, the SHB 1985, B 2481. Those legislative activities that we supported passed. Those are success stories. So we basically, we got the job done. So can we move down now to legislative advocacy and strength? Strategic priorities. Leadership training is critical. How is it for your chapter, Warren?
Yes. As far as our chapter, I just became president of Chapter 46 last month after having just transferred into Chapter 46. And so I have been one busy camper here over the last month, been meeting with officers one-on-one and executive board members. Just had a meeting this morning with my treasurer, just going over the budget items and everything. A couple things that we'll be doing. One is going back to the convention. As of now, we have about 3 people attending the convention from Chapter 46. We will be introducing a resolution on the COLA. Actually was put together by myself as the chair of the pension policy work group, or the policy work group to introduce the resolution, but found out that only chapters or executive board can introduce resolutions. So the policy pension work group deferred to our chapter to say, well, why don't you introduce a resolution? So we have put a resolution together, and we will be submitting that to Olympia for consideration by the resolutions committee. Second big thing we're going to be doing, I think, I have put together a chapter survey. Being new to the chapter, I want to know what the members are thinking. I want the members to feel that they are empowered to give their ideas or priorities and things like that to us officers
right here
for consideration. So I have put together a chapter survey that we plan on sending out probably in early August to get that feedback. And Jacob has been a tremendous help in helping me put that together, giving me ideas of costs. I think we're going to include that with our summer newsletter on the chapter survey, see what kind of response we get. And I think that will help us give our priorities, direction we want to go, how best to reach out to them. What I'm hoping is we're going to get more emails addresses as a result of the survey. I'm trying to get up to 80% of our members having email addresses so that we can use that as a vehicle for communications with our members. I also want to set up a robocall system for our members for fast communications, particularly during the legislative session. That's very inexpensive. I coordinated that with Chapter 37 when I was there. It's a very inexpensive way to communicate with members, so we're looking at that. So basically, I'm busy working on the various things with Chapter 46. That pretty much just summarizes my what's going on.
That's very good. You also shared a very interesting.
Can I sit in that room just for a minute because I'm on a meeting?
How things get done, like a calendar. for several months to be able to see where you are and where you're going. And I thought that was a good idea.
Okay, Alma Jane, I left the one room, so I'm available to talk now.
Okay, you need to know that Claude is in the medical center with his wife trying to get her scheduled for surgery, and he's making the time for us, and that is commendable. You don't expect that, but that is part of what seniors do, and he's doing it this morning. So Claude, would you speak to what you've been doing to assist the legislative process?
Okay, first and foremost, I know that you talked about Adam Smith. Adam Smith, I know when we were at Lori Widener, myself, Emmett, and all were at the convention. The COPE convention. We met with Adam Smith, and we also met with his political director, Chirac Vandulapali. And Lori is supposed to work out the time and all the other necessary things that they need to make sure that that Adam Smith will be on board in August, and we're gonna do RPEC is supposed to do a Zoom across the state with their members. So Lori has the ball right now. Everything else has been taken care of. She has the ball to work with Chirac. So that is one of the things that she should be, or she should have done by now. The other thing is that I'm setting up meetings with you and I to get some things going with Cameron Verace or whatever his name. He's in the 25th Legislative District. He was endorsed by COPE. We are supposed to interview him. I'm also, and we have a telephone interview temporarily with him tonight at 6 o'clock. I'm also setting up Sean in the 43rd Legislative District, and he was also endorsed by COPE. So there are several things that we got going, and I will definitely get a hold of Berquist, and we can set something up. But what I would like to see done is that if we can put together a meeting, because this year's legislation is very important, and we need to make sure that the individuals that we interview are the ones that is going to support us, and if we're going to endorse or support them. So we need to at least set something up for next month, I would hope. Since we don't have a meeting set up for next month, I'm hoping that we can, so that we can at least have our members, this group, at least interview or talk to these candidates. There will be several more candidates that I will be bringing on board as well. And I hope that Steve Berquist can be one of them. I know that Steve is a teacher and all the other good stuff, so we need to make sure that we can get him on board as well. So there will be several of our legislators that we will be bringing forward. Okay.
Okay.
And
can you provide the date, or if it's more than one date, that then we can?
well, I would say that July 11th or the 18th would be because July 4th falls on the first Thursday. So I would say July 11th or the 18th, we can have District 9 meeting so that we can at least talk to some of these candidates and get them on board.
Claude, one of the ways we were successful in doing quickly call meetings, as I call it, is once we got the date, time, place, and so forth, we just went. We found we would call a telephone call and get members who could just go. They were in-person meetings. Are you talking about an in-person meeting, or are we talking about
No, we're
virtual?
talking about a Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting?
We can do a Zoom meeting, and this way we can at least get more people on board with the Zoom
Well, I could
meeting.
say that we could send out an email notification, and then you members of District 9, you would need to be ready to respond immediately, because you won't get a lot of notice. Bill?
Right.
Okay. Now, as far as the convention, you're still bringing in John Paul?
Yes, we're working on that. Also, I know that well, when I was at the Giant Paul event about a month and a half ago, Rachel, which is her number one person here in the city, has already indicated to me that yes, she is working with us on that, and Giant Paul will be there. This is what Rachel now. As we had talked earlier, you know that Congress goes back to DC in September. They are off in August, but they go back in September. So what we are doing is going to have her, RPEC will put it together. She will be on, I think it's Zoom, if I'm not mistaken. Jacob, are you there?
Yeah, could you just repeat what the question was real quick?
Yeah. And we had, I know Claire had indicated that morning around 10 o'clock that morning, to have her on board. So this is something that Rachel, myself, RPEC, Lori knows all about this, and Claire does as well, because Claire and I were on board with Rachel, and hold up one second. They calling me now. I'll have to go right real quick. I'll talk in a minute.
All right. Thank you, Claude.
Okay.
Okay.
Before he goes, can I mention that I think it's most likely she's going to be on
You got the
a
shot?
video,
Okay.
a video rather than a live Zoom,
Right.
just because
Okay.
of the uncertainty of when she would be called to a floor
Oh, we
vote.
can see. Oh, we can
Okay.
see where the lab is.
Expect, that's the last week of the fiscal year. There will obviously be some kind of fiscal crisis going on in Congress. And so
Yeah.
she needs to be available for floor votes.
Okay. Thank you, Claire. Let's see. Claire, on the subject, will be extending an invitation to other
Where's the
legislators
lab?
to attend our convention.
Yeah, so it's first floor and then check-in one.
We'll be sending invitations, what? Excuse me?
To any of our legislators
Oh,
for our convention.
Derek's arranging other speakers. I would imagine that we'll get somebody from among the local delegation, like Representative Steele, who's been one of our favorites, and the other two positions are open seats at this point.
Okay.
The Senate and the other representative
I'm
position.
already on.
12th.
Okay.
I know we've got April Sims lined up as a keynote speaker.
All right. Matt has his hands up. Matt?
Yeah, I end up thanking Claude a lot. And this thing with Adam Smith is a big deal. And I think it's kind of statewide thing that talking about strategic planning for the future, this is the kind of thing on a statewide level for RPEC that I think can make a tremendous amount of impact. It's fine for a chapter to get X amount of people to come for a speaker. That's important too, but to get somebody at the level of Adam Smith giving what he does is give unvarnished views on how our organization could be effective or what issues are not worth spending time on as much. He's a real pro. He knows as much about how Washington works as anybody in the House of Representatives. So I hope we can get other high recognition speakers for the state, and Claude is a real key for that because he knows so many people. So this is a good thing for RPEC, in my opinion.
Thank you. Good to see you. Okay. All right, as we look at our Chapter 3 team progress, legislative updates, any more on that? (1985) 24 81 success stories. Next, this paragraph, legislative. Okay. Any comments on this?
I just, I've got a comment on the training.
Can you speak louder, Bill? I can't hear you.
I have a comment on the training. Can everybody else hear me? Because Elma Jeans is not working so good.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having a problem getting people in our chapter to sign up for training sessions. I don't know if this is happening statewide, Jacob, but I just want to raise the idea among members that it may be time to decentralize some of this training. And this is something that possibly the district could consider. We could have a trainer visit. We could do 5 chapters and they'd be all, in at least in our area, our 5 chapters are close. And we might be get more people. So that's my comment on that. I think we do get people that are normally active people, right? We're not getting the new people, and that's what I would like to see. But that's just my comment on that. I think the training's important.
Kent, I'm sorry to interrupt. Kent, there's a lot of background. I think it's from Claude in his meeting at the hospital. Could you possibly mute him if Claude can't hear me say this?
I've got to figure out how to do that. Just
Oh, he muted himself, I think.
Yeah, can we, this is Claude here. Can we mute him?
He's muted. And briefly, just to follow up on what Bill was just talking about, you know, I see value in, you know, possibly making it kind of a regional emphasis. One thing we're doing differently this year that hopefully will make the training, you know, better, more applicable to the people in attendance is we're actually splitting it up based on the roles of those who attend. So instead of every officer and every trustee, chapter executive board member sitting through the same training all the way from beginning to end, we're actually giving, you know, 4 different trainings, one for vice president and president, one for treasurers and trustees, one for, or I'm sorry, we're doing 3 different, and then one for secretary and executive board members. And so the training will be the organizational information type of stuff will all be in the same meeting together. And then after that, we'll get split up so people can participate in a training that's specifically relevant to them. That way it'll be more engaging. Members won't have to sit through some of the discussion and information that maybe aren't very applicable to them. And hopefully that kind of prevents a little bit of the burnout of being on a Zoom call that long, you know? So we're kind of going about it a different way this year. And I'm hopeful that by, splitting it up, making it more applicable, that people will get more out of it. But we'll see. We have about nearly 100 people registered for the leadership training, and then another, I'm gonna say like 60 for the Ask Me Financial Standards training. So anyway, thanks.
All right. Thank you. Okay, can we move down to Political Action Committee and Healthcare workload? Okay. All right. The comment in there about being concerned about, let's see, can you pull it down just a little bit more? All right, there we go. Okay, Jean Claude is. Judith is not on this call. She was trying to make plans to do so, so we can't address that right now. They've highlighted the need for collaboration between different chapters, groups, important to maintaining. Okay, I think we've covered that.
Claude just talked about that last part. Yeah.
Pardon?
Claude just covered that.
Yes, he did. Okay. All right, so let's move down.
And we covered that too.
Okay. I did want to mention on this one, on the team challenges, right above where the very last sentence, basically mentioning the highlighting the National Council on Aging Valuable Resources. This is one of the newer additions to the website. It has more detail about what that organization offers. Some of the things, some of the concerns that seniors have, that's not exactly the main priority of RPEC, are addressed by this relationship that we have with this organization. So I went through it last night, and it answers so many questions that from people that I know in RPEC that we don't answer specifically. So it's a good reference, a good resource, and I implore you to look at that more closely. Maybe in your own chapter meetings, for instance, you could emphasize maybe bringing in a speaker or get some more information to your members. So to make RPEC appear to be relevant to all the issues and concerns that our seniors are facing today. Okay, moving down.
Real quick on Majin, I just wanted to quickly touch base on the task that I had, vowed to take responsibility for and get done for this meeting. I did update the district committee guidelines from the older document from a few years back. So let me just briefly share that, make it quick here. District committee guide. There we go. Okay, so, and I can always just send this out to everybody. But yeah, what's in red is the additions or the edits, and most of the edits have to do with, tying this to the strategic plan. So just kind of a mention that this document applies to the idea of the regional meetings, the concept developed as a key component of the newly approved strategic plan. Talks about composition of these meetings being at the discretion of the district, but highly encouraged to support the strategic plan. Legislators no change, or leadership no changes, and then meetings. Council staff may be invited to district committee meetings, and district committees are encouraged to do so. As a council staff member can take additional minutes and record the meeting if held virtually. That's kind of a baseline of what value there is in having one of us present at the meeting. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but so if you think anything should be built out on that, feel free to follow up with me on an email, or if you want to discuss it here, that's fine too. Down in scope of work, work plans selected by the district committee are to be consistent with the mission, goals, and objectives of RPEC, which includes what is outlined in the RPEC strategic plan. The executive board, standing committees, or council staff may also make proposals for the committee to consider. Chapter participation in work plans and committee activities is voluntary but highly encouraged to reinforce district solidarity. All right, communication. The district executive board members will inform the executive board and all chapters in the district about the committee's work and request feedback. The executive board member or members, in the case of District 9, will utilize the executive board reporting guidelines form to document the status of chapters in their district in relation to the strategic plan goals. For those of you that don't know what this form is, it was the form that was utilized by district representatives for reporting on their chapters at the most recent board meeting. So it's kind of going to be the standard form for all district reports at all board meetings. That document is to be referenced when delivering district reports at executive board meetings, as I just stated. Moving down to the last paragraph here. So both the district executive board members and council staff will report district news at relevant RPEC meetings. News about district meetings and meeting times will be provided by the district and included in RPEC communications when requested. The addition is these communications should include, but are not limited to, an agenda of priority topics, any relevant materials, and the minutes/summary of the previous district meeting, just like we did for this meeting. So just kind of solidifying the standard practice for these meetings moving forward. If there's any immediate input, feel free to throw it out there. Otherwise, I will send this to everybody, and you can always provide feedback, and I can show a finalized version. I haven't had an opportunity to have Lori take a look at it. She just got back from a 2-week hiatus, just getting out of town for a while. So these are my edits specifically, and so feel free to chime in. Otherwise, that's what I've got for you here. So
can I make a suggestion here on this?
go for it.
That you send a copy to Brenda Williams, since Brenda Williams was vice president of RPEC when she and I basically convened the meeting to set this up. So I'm sure she would like to see that.
Sounds good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she was key in setting this up and forming the committee that put these guidelines together.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think I saw her name is being referenced as the author of the file itself. So
the history of this is people were scared of it
at
that time. And what the committee did with Brenda's leadership, we made sure that we wrote into here all of these safeguards to make sure that people didn't set up district rogue meetings or something like that. So that's how this came about. Well, thank you.
That's good context. Thank you, Bill.
Can you send it out to the districts?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it off to the officers of each of the chapters, those in attendance today that aren't officers as well. And then, yeah, it's something that I'll be sharing with other committees moving forward as well.
Okay.
Wow. Great.
This will come with the training as well.
So this is not going to be covered specifically in leadership training. This will be something that as we broach these district, roundtable regional meetings, however they want to be referred to as, with other districts, we will implement this, introduce it to those districts as well. Currently, besides District 9, the only chapter that's meeting, or the only district that's meeting for the purpose of addressing, strategic plan goals and whatnot, is District 6, which is kind of the pilot group, as I've mentioned before. District 1, which is, up north, Whatcom, Skagit, Snohomish, San Juan, and Island counties, they will have a district meeting on the 21st of this month. And it's something they do every year. That's kind of more like a legislator focused meeting, but they have set aside about 45 minutes to kind of do a pre-discussion to build into what like you guys are doing here and what's been done with District 6. So we've got District 1 coming up to be another group that these guidelines will be introduced to and kind of start forming what the future of their district meetings will look like to address strategic plan goals and district and chapter needs.
Very good.
Any other last comments on the guidelines before I zip my lips?
You have a time frame that you need feedback?
Not specifically, no. I think I will just float it out there. I guess we're not meeting in July, so if possible, by the end of the month would be solid, I think. I think that's more than doable. It won't be too late or anything like that. So just, yeah, preference probably within a few weeks or so. And I'll put that as a reminder when I send the email out with these guidelines on it.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Can we screen share back to where we were? I think we're just about through with
Yes,
that.
absolutely. Let me see. Come on.
Before our speakers do, so let's wrap this up and be ready. Okay. Back to page 3 of the previous screen. Page 3. Page 3.
That's what I'm on right now, I think, right?
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions on organization future healthcare legislation? Informational. And the last paragraph is Claude's legislative. I think he's covered that.
I think he covered that pretty well.
All right. Back to the agenda, please, screen.
All right, 1 second here. Come on, Zoom. There we go.
All right. Where it says legislative candidate interviews, Emmett was going to cover that. One of the high things, knowing that he's not with us today, and you know he's on his way. I want to emphasize how we contribute to candidates. That was emphasized in the revised PAC statement that was attached. And there's ways that we have to do that. Jacob, do you have any comments on that?
I don't specifically have any comments on that, but I have the attachment and everything. I don't know if you wanted me to share that on the screen for the candidate interviews.
Okay.
I do know that one of Emmett's like final things that he wants to get done here is wrapping up candidate interviews by the end of the month. So he's hard at work trying to just finalize getting any more meetings set up, any more interviews that are going to be done set up to happen before the end of the month. So
All right.
If you do you have that list on the list of races that Emmett came up with?
yeah, let me just go ahead and pull that up real quick here.
I can narrow it down a little bit.
Let's see. Here we go. Can you all see that?
Okay, so on that page, we only have one race, one legislative district that is really significant in our area. That would be 5.
Okay.
Would be 5.
Emmett was looking at legislative district
Looks like
43. That's
looks
where they
like-
needed to come.
It looks like three
That's why-
Ds. It looks like three Ds and two Rs are running there.
Yeah.
So that's one that might be relevant to us. And here's the thing about what Claude said. We have races and we have people that are good speakers and we have people that we already know about. What we probably should do is if Emmett wants to get some interviews done, think about those races that are relevant to us in this area in terms of the 5 chapters. And so I took a look at these. If you scroll all the way to 31, because none of these are in our area, basically. The rest, all of those. Yeah, get down to 31. Okay. So in 31, we presently have Fortunato, Robinson, and Stokesbury, all Republicans. Stokesbury has been a friend of ours, and I don't see him running. So what position is open here? That's most likely going to be a Republican winning that. So we probably need, if we were interested, we would do that. When we had roundtable, we talked to Fortunato down there. And but we also know that Stokesbury is a friend of ours. So these people are running in one of those races. Okay, the next one that would be relevant to us, I think, is 43. And I've spoken to Emmett about this. And apparently we have one candidate that looks promising already in terms of funds raised and has in the process of returning his interview. So you have to understand that when we get a new candidate, these are 4 Democrats running for one position. When we get something like this, Emmett or the political action person sends them a written interview and they respond to the interview and send that information back. And so one of them did that and that's in process now. And one of them voiced interest in actually meeting with us. So LD 43, if you remember, Kent, we went there one time when Pollitt was, it's up near Northgate. They used to have a district office there, but anyway, that's the area, North Seattle. So that would be one district. And then the final one, which I can't speak to, is LD 46. You know, right now it's Valdez, Pollitt, and Farivar. Farivar has, I believe, I think has, we'll have to check with when Emmett comes back, or comes with us, whether or not she's completed a written form. So if we were to target our interviews to those people that are running where there is competition, we would pick out of those, all of those that you saw on those 2 pages. In my view, those are the only ones that would be relevant. And we could work with having other people is fine too and interviewing them, but I think Emmett has voiced concern that he'd like to see chapters and or districts get out and talk to these folks. And the last thing I'm going to say about that is we were successful when we scheduled these meetings around the legislators. Kent and the others that were in on those days, why you didn't wait around for our meetings. We called the legislator that was of interest and asked for a meeting. And they gave us a time, a date, and a place, usually in their office. Oftentimes it was a coffee shop near their home or someplace. And we went to their district in person, and it wasn't everybody. If you remember, sometimes it would be 3 of us, some 4, sometimes 1 or 2. We didn't care. It'd be nice to get someone from that district. For example, in District 1, and Kevin's on, Kevin is in that district, and so he was able to meet several of us with Kevin, met with Derek Stanford. So that's the idea here. And what I'm suggesting is if us setting a meeting and hoping legislators come to it, boy, I don't think that's going to work. Now, the next question is if it's decided by Emmett or others that we want to proceed with some interviews, my suggestion is that we try to do it like before. Contact the legislature and see if they're interested, and then set a meeting and then notify everybody in the committee when the meeting is and show up. And there's a set of standard questions which is included here, which makes it easy on us. We're on subject, we're talking to them about the PERS 1 COLA, et cetera. And we can get information back to Olympia that we met with them. Bev Hermanson, who's the chair of the Political Action Committee, also favors this idea of chapters and districts trying to meet with people that are identified. That's the end of my spiel. If anyone's interested in that, I think maybe we should think about targeting people rather than just talking to everybody.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I have some other chapter leaders and other parts of the state have, mentioned the idea of when doing these like district meetings with the goal of getting legislator presence, not having to put it on any set schedule per the way that they would usually do things per the chapter of the district is probably not going to be as effective as finding when a time the legislator is available, or legislators, plural, and scheduling it for, around their schedule, like you said, Bill. So I think that you're right on the mark with that.
Okay, Jacob, I'm looking for a call in from Street.
It looks like we have somebody here on a 206-669 number.
That's
Representative
like,
Street, is that you?
that looks like Andrea.
That's
told me.
Andrea.
Oh, it's Andrea.
Yeah, Andrea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrea.
Hi.
You're definitely not Chapalo Street.
Who was that?
It's Andrea Torland.
Hi, Andrea. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. Yeah.
Okay, so there are some additional.
I have some
Agenda.
comments.
Oh, Warren has something to say. Homogen.
Well, I have a little different take maybe than Bill, but it's my understanding on the list that Bill just referenced that you had on the screen. From my understanding that RPEC sent the questionnaire out to all of those individuals on that list. Is that correct?
Correct.
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, and they were supposed to respond by June 4th with their
Yes.
answer. So
Right.
I was waiting to see what, and we'll find out what came out of that. So that's one avenue. My thought is that I have identified probably about somewhere around 8 senators or representatives to me in our district that I think are key contacts. And those are the representative senators sit on the appropriation and the Ways and Means committees. They are critical in terms of getting legislation moving and passing and getting to the floors for votes. And I think that we, even though most of them have been supportive, I think we need to get back to those people to once again remind them of who we are, RPEC, and that our goal was whether it's a health insurance issue or it's the COLA issue, those are both going to be coming up at the next legislative session. And I think we should be reaching out to, that would be my priority list, I'll put it that way. The other thought is I've sat on panels interviewing legislators. I've interviewed legislators one-on-one. I know that in our chapter alone, I'm sure other chapters, we're very limited, and with the summer, we're limited in who we have available to participate. And the only way we're going to get this done is we're going to have to coordinate our efforts between the chapters to determine how best we approach this. Like if it's a panel, it could be representatives from several different chapters sitting on a panel. Perhaps we can line up, if you have candidates, line up people who maybe want to come and, I've gone to a Union Hall downtown Seattle where we had candidates come to us and be interviewed, particularly for new candidates.
Comments,
We need to come up with a plan.
Warren? Our
Yes,
speaker has arrived. Can we please welcome Representative Chapalo?
Hey everyone, how are you doing?
Oh,
We're doing good. Some of us can hear us and some of us can't, little audio troubles, but welcome aboard. How's everything?
I can't complain. It's a beautiful day here and it looks like we're gonna get more of that. So as long as we have it for the weekend, I'm happy. I'll take it in the week, but it's a good start for the weekend.
Very good. Well, it's my pleasure. I know that it's difficult with your schedule. We appreciate you giving us the time. I'd like to just start by saying that we're going to want to ask you some questions about what we think we need and how you might be able to help us in those endeavors. We know that we need support. So that you serve as the vice chair of the finance committee, as well as on the environment and energy and innovation, community and economic development, and veterans committees. That's a lot.
That is correct. Well, there's 3 committees, but one has a lot of responsibility.
So tell us just a little bit about yourself, and don't take any more than about 5 to 8 minutes, because we want to ask you some questions.
Sure, sounds great. Would you like to sort of know about my background and how I got to serving in the legislature? What would be most interesting for you guys?
Tell us some of your accomplishments, what you're most proud of, and anything you can think of that helps seniors.
Sure. In terms of things that I'm most proud of, this was my first term. So as a freshman legislator, just getting up and running in the legislature, there's a lot thrown at you. And when I came into the legislature, I sort of looked at what are the things that I'd like to accomplish. I think we have an upside down tax code. And when you look at many of the social issues that we'd like to address, I do believe there is a revenue question. And so that to me is a question of not only where do we spend our revenue, but who do we collect our revenue from? When we either talk about funding our schools, making sure that special education is funded, making sure that we fulfill our promises to retirees and fully fund pensions. Those things are not only how much money do we have coming in, but where are we putting that money? So I wanted to be on both the finance committee, which sets our tax policy, and the appropriations committee, which is how do we spend our tax money? But I was only able to get onto the finance committee. So my goal for the next term is to get onto the appropriations committee as well. So the first committee that I got onto, and as the vice chair, was the finance committee, which sets our tax policy. The second committee was the environment and energy committee. That is a critical issue of our time. Like we're seeing climate incidents build up across our state, both in number and severity. And it's going to be something that we have to deal with, hopefully, like for the rest of our lives, or hopefully not for the rest of our lives, but hopefully for the rest of our long lives. We're going to be dealing with this. And so I want to make sure that I have a background in that area, because I think it's something that I'll have to be dealing with for a long time. And then community development is another area that's really important to my district. My district is the 37th, so that's Southeast Seattle. We have a lot of small businesses. We have a lot of, we were formerly the most diverse district in the country. So now we're just one of the top most diverse districts in the country. And so things like community development is really important to our community. And so that was the third committee that I joined. In this first year, there have been some really big wins on the environment committee. I got the state to update our climate resiliency plan. We hadn't updated it for 10 years, and what climate change looks like between now and 2013 is drastically different. And so we need to understand what's coming at us and how we can respond to that, because climate events usually hit the poorest among us and the most needy among us. So I think this is a sort of social justice issue. We also now have the most stringent battery recycling program in the country, based on a bill that I brought forward. As we electrify our economy, I think batteries are going to become more and more of a sort of central role in our economy. And so we want to make sure that the minerals that are mined, those take a lot of carbon resources to get out, and they can also leach toxic chemicals into the ground and start fires in our waste stream. So they're dangerous on when we're retiring those resources. And so we want to make sure that we responsibly steward those resources. So I got a battery recycling bill through as well. And then this past session, so those were first session bills. This past session, making sure that Harborview has the resources that it needs to continue its renovations and modernization. Harborview is a immensely important healthcare resource for us in this region, not only for King County, while it is in King County, the 70% of the care that they serve is some kind of government subsidized care. So that could be Medicare, Medicaid. So that is clearly a benefit to seniors, also for our unhoused neighbors. And also it's the only Trauma One care center in the Northwest. So that means that people get flown from Alaska, from Montana, from Idaho. And so making sure that this is truly one of our safety net institutions in the state and in this region. And so making sure that that is financially solvent, I think was a very, very important bill that we had this past session. I was not personally able to bring forward any bills for seniors. Luckily, those are usually relatively non-controversial, and so they get given to the members who are in swing districts that, since they are non-controversial, they are likely to pass, and they will, it's something that everyone can agree on, both on the Democratic and Republican side. So those often go to those members that have a larger number of Republicans in their district as a means of showing broader appeal to the electorate. That said, I was very happy to support the increase in PERS 1 COLA. While we didn't get it to a automatically recurring one, we did get an increase to it, which is sort of the min bar of what we should be doing. And then there were some other really good improvements. Like, it's interesting when the state and federal governments don't necessarily coordinate. The federal government can do something which in isolation is good for seniors. For example, giving a cost of living adjustment for Social Security. But if that's not accounted for in some of the state benefits that are given, then people, that increase in income can push people off of state benefits that they have and cause actual harm. And so I was glad that we as a legislature saw that the federal government was going to do this Social Security COLA, and then adjusted our state benefits so that seniors and other people weren't impacted by that. And so those are also sort of examples of times where I think we have to make sure that we're listening to all of the different governmental agencies at federal and county and city to make sure that our policies sort of mesh together and actually create a safety net, as opposed to having gaps that people fall through.
Thank you so much for that. I don't want to dominate with my questions. I'd like to open up for our attendees to ask questions. This is your turn.
Are you trying to speak, Claude? I think you're muted.
All right. Well,
Okay, can you hear me now?
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Mr. Perfect?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. Hey,
you don't have a
I
suspended
just
license, do you, by any chance?
yeah. Yeah. Well, when you were at chapter 3, I had asked that serious question that we are looking at. First one is looking at a permanent COLA. And I know you are a supporter of senior issues and so forth, which is why I voted for you, and I will continue to vote for you. But the thing is that how can we and you help, with this next legislative session to try to get us a permanent COLA? I know your colleagues and all in the legislature. I know there are quite a few that support us, but we need some type of COLA to keep up, and we can't really keep up with inflation, but we need something to help support us because we spend money as well as other folks. We contribute to the economy. And we also have to recognize the fact that things that we used to purchase 2, 3 years ago have doubled and tripled. There to support us in this effort, and I know you will. But tell us, can you tell us what you may be able to do to help support this with your colleague, your legislative colleagues?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, one of the things I would love to do is get on the appropriations committee because if I'm remembering correctly, the COLA bill goes probably directly to appropriations. And so to me, getting on appropriations, I think, is the most impact I can have directly. I think there are other related senior bills that I'm able to have impact on in the finance committee, which are sort of dealing with preferential tax rates for different seniors or senior programs. Like one of the bills that we passed this past year out of the finance committee was making sure that meals at senior residence communities aren't taxed, given sales tax. Because I mean, this is like, you don't have sales tax on the meals in your home, right? So why would you have sales tax on sort of a meal in a senior residence community when that is their home? But since it was a sale of food, it then gets taxed. And so those are the ones that currently I can have more sort of immediate impact on as a member of the finance committee, but getting onto appropriations to me is sort of that next step towards direct impact.
And I know my good friend Mia Gregerson is on that appropriations committee. And how well do you know her?
She's great. I have a great relationship with her.
What was that?
I have a good relationship with her. I love working with her. She's great. She's actually not only on appropriations, she's one of the vice chairs. So she does a ton of work. If you see a vice chair of appropriations, like Rep. Gregerson, Rep. Macri, Rep. Bergquist, and Rep. Ormsby, those are workhorses of the budget and deserve a ton of credit for what goes on in Olympia. They also have a outsized amount of power as well, given that they craft the budget too.
Can we hear from Warren Warfield now?
Okay, Representative, a privilege to meet you.
Good afternoon.
First of all, I wholeheartedly agree that if you can get on the appropriations committee, that would be a big plus. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Select Committee on Pension Policy, which is a joint legislative committee. We have been working closely with them because if you get legislation approved for like a COLA through them, then the chances of that getting to appropriations is much better rather than just going directly say to you and say, hey, can you introduce the COLA bill? So we're working closely with them. My question is, we're hoping that right now they have been charged with coming up with some options for a permanent COLA by end of this year. And in September, they are supposed to present to, that's the Office of State Actuary, they are supposed to present to the Select Committee on Pension Policy their recommendations for what it would cost and their options for how we get there for a permanent COLA. We're hoping that as a result, we may see some kind of legislation produced from the Select Committee on Pension Policy for introduction as a bill next year in the session. My point is I would hope that if such an occurrence happens, that you would be a supporter of that legislation for a permanent Plan 1 COLA.
For sure. And if you don't see it get introduced, let me know. I'd be happy to introduce it. That said, like I mentioned earlier, often those types of bills go to members in more swing districts. But if for some reason it doesn't get picked up, happy to pick that up.
Okay, we will be in touch with you.
Or maybe rephrase that. I suggest that you approach a member from a swing district because it will be viewed even more favorably if they bring it, because it should be an easier bill to get through and it should have broader appeal. So often I get to carry the load of bills that may be a little bit more controversial in the moment. Often I think we have seen our society get more progressive over time. And so often what is seen as controversial right now will not be in 5 or 10 years. And so I get to sort of fight that fight and be the tip of the spear. Whereas something like this hopefully is less controversial and more just let's make sure we have the money to do it and figure out what trade-offs we need to do to make that happen.
Good. Well, good suggestion. And we'll certainly take that approach, and we'll also kind of keep you informed in the background there as what as things are going on. But yeah, we appreciate your assistance.
And one more tip: freshmen often get preferential treatment for their bills. So if you can find a freshman member from a swing district, that would be sort of a double whammy. So there's at least 2 people that you can keep your eye on. Addison Richards, he has a good chance of picking up, I believe it's the 26th. So that would be a good person to approach with this bill because he'll be a freshman and from a swing district. I know Rep. Shavers and Rep. Oh man, I'm looking at their face. Rep. Rule. While they won't be freshmen, they are from up north in swingier districts. Also Rep. Timmons. So between those 4 people, those would be probably the ideal candidates to sponsor that bill, given how that will be looked on sort of by their districts, if that makes sense.
Great. Hope Jacob caught that, so we can document that, and we'll certainly take a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I found that sometimes the process is just as important as the content of a bill in Olympia.
Definitely.
One of the things that impressed me with Representative Street, as I was reading, it says that he started a small real estate company that views rental homes as partnerships between the owner and tenants. And despite 1/3 of his tenants losing work during the pandemic, he was able to ensure that all his tenants remained housed. That is tenacity. That is follow through. That is accomplishment. And I see that same possibility in working with him and others who are supportive of senior needs to do the same type of progressive accomplishments. So we want to know what we can do to help you, Representative Street, to help us get to the goal.
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of talked about strategies for COLAs on retirement plans. I think another issue that spans seniors just like it spans families and individuals is the skyrocketing price of housing, right? Like everyone needs a place to live. Not all of us own homes. I am fortunate too, but not all of us do. And as rents continue to go up, like it's, especially when you're on a fixed income, I don't know where you're going to get that extra money. And so rent stabilization is a bill that we got out of the House this past session. It failed in the Senate, but we will continue pushing on that. And so that is a place that we would love to bring together as many people as possible. And having a senior voice in there, I think, is especially powerful. Like, who can say no to having someone's grandmother priced out of their house and pushed into homelessness? Like that is a sort of unconscionable type thing. When we talk about retirement with dignity, like if you have planned for your whole life to be able to afford a lifestyle that you can, however, skyrocketing rents change that. That is no fault of the person who has done all of the work of planning, except they are sort of at the whims of a market who will chew people up for maximum profit. And so having having a senior voice in that rent stabilization debate, I think is really important. Just like I'm happy to bring a landlord voice and say that, yes, you can have rent stabilization that is not going to destroy a real estate market. There are plenty of real estate markets that have rent stabilization and they are flourishing. Landlords are making profits. They are not going out of business. You can have regulation and a free market at the same time. In fact, regulation is sort of instrumental to a free market to make sure that we get the outcomes that we want.
I want you to know that Mayor Gregerson is scheduled for our August 1 meeting, District 9. And you've already heard that she is supportive. You'll get an opportunity to chat with her as well. Do I have questions? Claude, would you like to comment on Mia? Claude, unmute. Unmute, Claude.
Okay, yeah, I unmuted. I'm unmuted now. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I know Mia helped me in CTAC with this senior housing, and it was a shamble. I had spoken with Representative Congressman Adam Smith, and he had indicated and he mentioned Mia to me to get a hold of Mia. Well, I've been knowing Mia, but I didn't think about her at that time. And man, she put together, she and I sit down together and rode out of California, out of San Francisco. And the next week, they were there and they took care of the problems they were having. They terminated some folks. They did all repairs that was needed.
On
Now,
mine,
Claude, we're deal with you.
on mine, it says his bandwidth is low. Claude's bandwidth.
Yeah, he's frozen.
And I say, Mia is outstanding.
Claude, we're gonna pass with you now because we've lost contact.
When it comes
Okay.
to, you know, I mean, there's not a whole lot I can say about Mia other than she's outstanding. She does.
Okay. Whew.
I'm losing picture and sound here.
Okay. Whew.
If I might add my 2 bits to this discussion. Representative Street, I haven't met you before. My name's Claire Olivers. I'm the RPEC president, but I really appreciate that you give me an impression that you dig into issues. I really appreciate that. There are a couple of policy wonks on this call. who love to dig into issues, and I'm sure that they appreciate it as much as I do. I also appreciate that you're being frank with us. That's a rare quantity that I find in legislators. So I encourage you to continue to share things frankly. We really appreciate it, and I hope you will maintain that curiosity that you bring to things and digging into them, and especially into the process behind the issues. So thanks. You're just the kind of guy we'd like to have as a supporter. So thanks.
Well, thank you. And you guys are just the type of people I love to have as supporters as well. Like, it's a really privileged position to be in, and it makes me sad in some ways that it's only a part-time job, because whenever you're not doing it, you feel like you could be doing something else to make your community better. So.
Thank you, Representative. Thank you, members. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you. I just can't see you.
I can't either. I got
You might
yellow
want to stop
Zoom.
the screen share.
Yeah, my Zoom. Oh, I have my Zoom screen. I don't have anything.
I've got a vertical screen right in the middle that I can, that everybody's on.
Are you still?
And if you go down to the bottom, that little bar above the main Zoom taskbar should be a stop share option at the very bottom of your screen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. It's a pleasure chatting with y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Street.
How do I get out of this?
And hover over the share screen button there at the bottom. Hit stop share.
Stop share. I don't have a stop share.
Yeah, I was having problems there.
I check on share. Share.
No, I'm a Gene. It's Ken too sharing his screen. There we go.
Now we're back.
You're gonna be so good at this soon. Let's see how much time we got. We got a few minutes. Bill, you had a couple of additional agenda items you wanted to report on the result of the mass mailing, and Jacob, could you give it to us?
Yeah, so as of, let's see, earlier this week, the total amount of new members that have joined is somewhere around 1,050. We just got the last few stragglers entered in yesterday. Actually, I think we got a handful in the mail again, and so we've officially gone through all of our stockpile of new member application cards from the blind mailing. So we may still get some outliers that come trickling in over time, but that's the bulk of them. About 1,050. Easily 2/3, closer to 3/4 is plans 2-3 folks, and then the remainder is plan 1. Something we did a little different this year. So last year, we did the application cards along with a petition card that was sent out to all the folks that received the mailing. This year, what happened was plan 1 folks just got the application card. Plans 2-3 folks got an application card with a petition printed on the back. Just as kind of part of an experiment to see, a trend of responsiveness from including that petition, things like that. And so we had a lot of folks sign up with their spouses as well. That contributed to a lot of that 1,050 new members. Whereas last year, the language that AFSCME had provided on the card wasn't clear enough for people to understand that they were signing up their spouses as well. So last year, we actually didn't have any spouse entries as new members. This year, though, majority of the cards that we got, people were signing up their spouses as well. So so our total numbers are sitting at about 13,500-ish, somewhere in there. Maybe a little bit more than that. But yeah, It was a decently productive year, not as big as last year, but bigger than years prior too. Yeah, any specific questions about that?
No question.
Sorry, my microphone is picking up on them.
I got a comment though. Okay, so I think I asked for that report and thank you for that. I want to let the people know that it's possible to get your chapter or the whole district, if you wanted, segregated new members. And for one of our meetings, we did precisely that. The results were as follows: that we got 100 new members off of previous blind mailing. And of that 158 of them, you have to sort through them, their addresses, and take out the people that can't make it to a meeting. And so out of that, we had 58 people that could logically come to a chapter meeting. And then we we took out addresses for people out of state and all of that stuff. And then we tried to contact them by email, and I made actual calls to all of them and left messages mostly on their machines. And the return on that was pretty low. But out of that, I think I actually spoke to, out of 58 calls, I probably talked to about 16 people. And of those, several of them voiced interest in coming to the meeting, and one actually came. So like I say, even though the returns are low, what I want to pitch here is that it's not a matter of getting them to meetings maybe. Maybe it's some other way that we can get people active and find something for them to do, because in our chapter anyway, and I think that's just true of all of ours, we have enough members. We have a lot of members. The problem is statewide, we don't have active members as many, especially from PERS 2 and 3. And so when I looked at the membership of our chapter, which is 600 and some, it's a big chapter, about 200 and some are PERS 2 and 3. Okay, so there's another way to isolate people and try to reach out to them. So I'm suggesting, and you have a memo out that says that we probably should be contacting these people, right? These people that we just got in. And I'm suggesting that a couple of ways is by email and by live calling. Even though that like the returns are low, it's still worth it if you can pick up a few people. So, and you also get some interesting conversations with the new people. You find out what's on their mind. So that's my pitch. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I agree. Something to kind of tie into what you just were sharing, Bill, is that an example I have is with Chapter 21, their vice president who recently joined the organization. She's been taking it upon herself to do personal calls and emails out to all members that aren't part of this like active members list, kind of like what you're talking about for your chapter. And the amount of people that she's got responses from has been really eye-opening, you know, even for the folks that say like they can't attend meetings or they don't want to. They voice their satisfaction with the work they're doing and how they're happy to continue to support us and receive the newsletter, receive information to stay informed. But they've gotten their meeting numbers up to, I think at this last meeting was 24. You know, and Chapter 21 isn't a grossly large chapter. So 24 is, you know, as we've seen in struggling chapters, 24 is a healthy meeting attendance number. But like you said, Bill, meeting attendance isn't necessarily everything. It's actually, we need to redefine engagement, right? How are members engaged? And that can't necessarily be measured just by the amount of people attending meetings. We've had some of the new members from the by mailing reach out wanting to find avenues to get involved with any legislative related stuff. So, you know, we've connected people with information on the website for joining the legislative committee meetings and the legislative update calls. So those are the kind of things that we're also looking at in that whole redefining member engagement. So I just wanted to say I definitely agree with you, Bill, and I see it in other places.
Thanks for that. Sorry, Alma, but we have our guest here. I wonder if we could talk about what's going on in District 1, because I think that's important.
Okay.
If you're referring to me,
Yeah.
we have the June district meeting, which we've been doing for several years now. is always a sort of legislative wrap-up discussion. And then to the extent that we can get them to talk about it, what they think will be the key topics in the next legislative session. So we're inviting all the legislators from the King Snohomish County line north, and hopefully we'll get a decent turnout. I think an average turnout for us is around 8 or 10 legislators or staffers. We usually get a couple of staffers in place of legislators. And if we can get from that, that'll be great. And we usually will get about 50 to 60, probably 50, closer to 50 on an average, members from the 4 chapters in District 1. And I'm hoping that with the hybrid, we'll get more like 60 or 70 members attending, maybe 50 of them in person and the rest by Zoom. This will be the first time we tried to do it hybrid. Fingers crossed it works. We'll see how we do. We've got a good location. It's in Marysville at the what do they call it? Marysville Center Delta Room. It's the former city courts building, which is not all that old. It's a fairly recent building, but they've built a whole new municipal complex and combined their city hall and the courts and everything in one place. And so they've got this building is really just got a lot of rooms that were used to be courtrooms, I think predominantly. And they, have all kinds of classes in there, Pilates and yoga and big meetings. And we've got the biggest room, should be plenty adequate to our needs. And we're meeting on June 21st at 12:30. We'll do setup at noon. We'll have the legislators for a couple hours, and then we'll have a little district meeting after that, just chapter leaders.
And so people can get on that if they want
Yeah,
to.
it'd be really easy for folks to join the Zoom.
Okay.
I assume, Jacob, that the Zoom link is included in the calendar on the website.
Yeah, it is. And when I sent out the notice last month as well, I included that, and I'll be sending out another notice probably tomorrow, actually, as a reminder, just to remind people that it's coming up and include that Zoom link again. So I'll make sure that that information is readily available.
Right. And Representative Street mentioned Timmons from up in Whatcom County, Representative Timmons. He was the freshman that the select committee decided to hand the COLA bill to this last session, because he's a freshman in a competitive district. And so he was our front guy for the COLA bill this year. So he would be an obvious choice to do that again, or another freshman who's in a more difficult district might be an even better choice. We'll see what they come up with, but that's been the habit of Fitzgibbon, I guess it was, who he's always handed the bills to freshmen when we've got a COLA bill.
I have a question. What did you guys think of Street?
I was really impressed.
What about you,
He
Bill?
was great. Yeah, we have an ally there. If we get him on appropriations, that's going to be a big help.
Oh yeah, with his desire to get to the bottom of things, oh my, that would be really, really something.
That would require a bill though, right? We got to get a bill.
I'm having him at chapter 28 coming up on the 18th. What is it, the 18th?
Yes.
Anyway, 28 meeting, and it's person to person. It's at the it's up out in Tukwila. I'll send it out to you. But you're welcome to come. You have to pay for if you bring guests. So see how many of you want to come, and maybe who knows, we might treat you. They have good food, and so he's invited, and we'll be listening to him. Okay, again. And thank you, Claude. I want you to know it takes a while. Claude knows him and loves him, and vice versa. I don't. I get on the phone and start looking I want to have it in writing. I want confirmation that they're coming, what time they're coming, and I wait and I wait and I wait. And then you get a email finally that says, I've got work-related responsibilities when you want me. Can I have another time slot? So if you want my job, just be careful you have a good, strong heart. So anyway, is there any business?
No,
Usually we do have better attendance than this.
Yes,
People are gone.
yes, I do have something.
Go ahead.
You had, on behalf of Lori, you had asked the chapters for a representative for the Central Union Labor Council.
Yeah.
And I have a candidate, but what I don't know, and what my candidate wants to know, is what is the obligation of the chapter? Is it just simply to make an appearance? How often are the meetings, et cetera, et cetera? We know nothing. I know nothing about this.
My understanding right now is that we're taking this information to orient our leader, Lori, as to what is going on in our chapters, how many chapters have such a structure, if they're doing anything, if they're sending anybody. Some of these we've done it before, but some of those before are no longer doing it. People are no longer there, gone. So she's just trying to get a feeling as to what's going on before she moves forward. So I guess I should ask you, maybe what do you think about the idea that she's proposing?
I can give some more clarification on that too, real quick. Warren.
Yes, yeah, please.
So yeah, currently there isn't any specific expectation of what that person's role is supposed to be. At this point, we're trying to narrow down which chapters already have delegates to central labor councils in their area. And, moving forward as part of the strategic plan as well, we're going to have a coordinated effort that includes, kind of guidelines possibly, or a method for being able to report on information that these folks get from the Central Labor Council meetings. So in the case of District 9, I know of MLK Labor, that's the Labor Council for King County. They have, so Debbie Haig, president of Chapter 30 last year, had actually looked at affiliating with that Labor Council. And it was determined that there was a cost involved. Following that conversation, obviously they opted to not continue to pursue that, but then there's kind of conflicting understandings about where they maybe cut folks a break, depending on, what their affiliation is, things like that. So it's at least with MLK Labor, that's something that's going to take a little bit of, probing, getting a little more information about how we can make that work, so as to kind of mitigate any costs that there could be to a chapter. So that's my context on it. But yeah, obligation wise, there's, showing up honestly, and us just being aware of it so that we can coordinate. That's really kind of the main thing. Claire, go ahead.
Hey, tell Debbie that the chapters north of her have been able to negotiate with their local central labor councils to get a much reduced rate, because we don't have active employees who are paying active employee dues. We have retirees who are paying much smaller dues to RPEC, and a smaller portion of that goes to the chapters. In Whatcom County and the Snow Isle labor councils, they're charging us like $50 a year for a couple of delegates.
That's good information. Yeah, I'll bring that forward. I don't know if Imogene or Claude want to speak with their chapters, or if they want to pilot that discussion, but I'd be more than happy to absolutely touch base with Debbie as well.
Okay, we had a discussion in chapter 35, a brief one, and a couple of us are going to look into further with the information that you have from MLK Labor here in King County. But the history of that, is that some chapters did have delegates. In fact, chapter 3 would regularly send someone and they would come back and report the activities of what's going on in the labor movement. But what happens is people, as you know, circumstances, they can no longer do it, and then there isn't anyone to do it. In our chapter, they asked for a couple of us to find out more information and to see what advantage or disadvantage there would be for us to do it. And I don't think paying the dues is going to be the problem. The question is, how relevant is it to the chapter and to the program of RPEC? So I can continue to ask those questions of the old timers to get the history. I hope that's helpful to you, Jacob. And then I think that's the kind of information you're looking for. Just to
Absolutely.
see where we're at and what's come up. In the case of Martin Luther King Labor Council, they have delegate meetings. There are none during the summer, apparently. So we can't go to those to find out what they talk about, what their agendas are. But we do have people that go to some of their meetings. Now, Claude Burfect is a member, and I believe he's on the executive board, but he doesn't represent RPEC. He represents another organization. And then we also have the issue that in the past, RPEC was allowed to actually be part of the decision-making. And they ended that by announcing that they would only take one retiree group. And for MLK Labor, that is Alliance for Retired Americans. And as I understand it, the representatives from RPEC were no longer in the decision-making process. If they wanted to, I guess they'd have to go through the ARA, which has a little different agenda than ours. Probably doesn't include the pension, that's for sure. And that's as far as we got so far. But our chapter is going to look further into it and see what we want to do with it. Hope that's helpful.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah.
Can we hear from Claude, please?
Yeah, I'm on the board of the MLK Labor, and Don Bennett, who represents Wasara, is the person that represents seniors on that board. Now, I will get as much information regarding seniors and provide that information at the next meeting. And I'll have everything that you need to know, we need to know, and we need to pass on to other members of RPEC. So I'll provide y'all with as much information as I can.
I just got a question. Are you on the board?
I'm on the board, yes.
And so does the board meet regularly?
The board meets once a month. It meets the third Wednesday. That's why when Chapter 46 have their meeting, I got to run out by 1 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, that traffic.
Yeah.
And it's they hold a board meeting at the
Labor Temple.
Oh God, UFCW. And so they hold a meeting there, and they hold general membership meeting there. So Mike Warren is definitely on. He's a member of MLK Labor. So he's one of the seniors, but they have quite a few seniors on that board. Yeah, I mean, come to the general membership meeting, but there is Don Bennett, and then I represent CBTU, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists, on that board.
Okay,
So,
wow.
yeah,
So that's information that you can probably,
I can provide you with a lot of
yeah,
information.
I think
Matter of fact,
it needs to go to Jacob because that's who's asking I
Yeah.
think Corey's asking the question. Are those board meetings you go to on the third Wednesday, are those open meetings or closed?
they're closed meetings,
Okay.
just to the board, and we have about 36 board members. And from all different trades. And so it's quite interesting, so, but I will provide you with as much information as I can get you at the next meeting. Now, Alma Jean, I just want to say this. And when we talked about July, I was thinking that maybe July 11th or 18th, we can have another district meeting, because I will bring in some folks running for office, especially from the 43rd. I know that Sean Scott, we are supposed to interview, and I can bring him on board. Cameron, I got his thing right here. Severns. I spoke with him this morning, and you and I are going to speak with him at 6 o'clock tonight. So, I would like to see us bring these folks, let us talk to these folks, find out their position. And I know that it says here on my sheet that we need to interview Stephanie Lloyd Agnew, Sean Scott, Daniel Carusello, and Andrea Suarez. So I'm getting a commitment from Sean. I will work on the others to get them on board as well. But I'm just thinking we need to get something done. I know that COPE endorsed Sean Scott at the COPE convention. Remember that, Claire? They endorsed Sean Scott. So we need to find out what he's about. And so I can work on getting some of these folks for the next meeting if we can. So we need to interview them, talk to them, have those.
So I put the question to the group right now. July 18th. Remember we said we would not meet in July. Do you want to meet in July? Asking you again. We can call it a special meeting if you like.
I support that.
Yeah, I do too. I think especially if we can get some of these people that are running for office.
Okay. Since we're informal, is there anyone opposed? Then we'll do it.
Yeah, July 18th. So
July 18th?
that's okay.
Okay.
All right. I will put forward some folks for that meeting. And we can come up with RPEC questions and stuff like that. This will be specifically dealing with legislators.
Yeah.
Would that be at 1 p.m. as well?
Yeah. Alma Jane?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get it in our calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we will have some folks there to that's running for office to talk to.
Emmett left some questions too that have been put together through his work that are relevant that we might want to look at.
Yeah, well, Emmett sent.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, we definitely have to ask him about our peak our PERS 1 COLA. That's on there, and that's one of the main ones. And I think we did a good job today. We can do it with other folks. I also want to address the idea of going out and getting other folks that are influential, that are already legislators. And I think if we got the resources and with people willing to do it, that's absolutely, I agree with Warren on that one too. But that's in addition to the ones that RPEC has identified as people they would like to see someone talk to. So I propose that we try to do both if we have the resources.
All right.
We'll be reaching out to some of these on the appropriations, Ways and Means Committee, and maybe set up kind of a Zoom connection with them during the summer, and probably see if we can invite some to our September, October chapter meetings.
That's the way to go.
have a question also in District 48,
43.
you know, District 48, number 2, Daria Fariva. You know, we need to maybe touch base with her because at the COPE convention, well, no, we got her down here that she was horrible when you guys interviewed her. Am I correct on that? Claire?
I don't remember. We didn't interview anybody from District 48 that I recall.
It's not 48.
It's 46.
46.
It's 46.
Statewide positions.
My eyes are bad. Yeah, 46. I'm sorry.
46.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't.
Because on my cheat sheet, it stated that she was horrible.
But that convention, did that deal with specifically with our issues, or was it everything?
Now, yeah, boy, the state, let me go and see if they endorsed her, because my understanding, she was a mess. Let's see, 46, and
I know she voted favorably for the COLA.
huh?
She voted favorably for the COLA in
She did?
in the last session. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, 46.
46 is another district I mentioned.
Okay. Well,
RPEC is interested in.
Yeah, COPE endorsed her. So, you know, somebody made a comment in that last PAC meeting we had that she, you know, they wanted to vote no on Dara. So I was just curious, you know, we got a PAC committee meeting coming up on the 14th, which is my birthday, and so I'll find out more about it.
Are you talking about the position 2 race with Farivar and Barron?
Barron, Simone Barron, she's running against Republican.
And Daria Farivar?
Yeah, Dara Farivar. Yeah.
That's the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well,
okay, y'all, it is at 3.
That's one where we're expected to do interviews, so we can make our own decision after doing the interview.
Right, because I was gonna say that I'll try to get her on board for the for our next meeting.
If it's on our list, my understanding is Emmett is interested if we can put together an interview with these folks. And if it's on that list I mentioned, on the ones that are relevant, 46 was one of them.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Okay.
sounds good. And the time is 3:03. I know we're losing at least one person, and it's time to adjourn this meeting. Are you ready to work next time? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
you,
Have a good day.
Imogene.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.